Uh, Good morning. My name is Ted Adamson, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself as well as a little bit about my book. First of all, you might be wondering why the mask, and it's very simple, really. Even though uh, uh, I've been off drugs 35 years, and I was a drug addict, including a heroin user, for 14 years. And even though it's been 35 years that I've been clean, my experience is that I've still suffered repercussions from events that occurred over 35 years ago. So in order to protect my identity, I just think it's wise to in order to protect my life from repercussions, I think it's just wise to do this. My book. First of all, my book. Same thing on my book. Ted Adamson is my pen name. And here's the book. Here. And you can see on the back side, there is a picture. Right here. But I'm only seen from the rear. And so I just want to preserve my anonymity, and there's a long tradition of that in the recovery movement, in both Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous. And I wrote my book for a reason, because I think, well, I know there's just not too much honest talk about what addiction is really all about. And in case you didn't know it, we live in the dark ages of drug addiction treatment. And I speak from my own personal experience when I say that. I'll tell you a little bit about my background. I'm an N number. For those of you in California, you might know what an N number was. I believe they've changed them to NK numbers now, but I'm an N number. My N number was N371, and I'm not going to tell you the last two numbers, but I had two other numbers there. And what that means is that I was convicted of a crime and sent to treatment at a state of California facility. The state of California sends drug addicts to gives them a civil commitment and sends them to primarily the California Rehabilitation Center, located in Norco, California, and that's where I went. And I was there 2 different times. And although they call it treatment, they will, staff there will freely admit to you, at least some of them will, that they don't have any treatment for drug addiction. I spoke to one lieutenant. The facility is run by the Department of Corrections, and I spoke to one lieutenant, and he said, "We don't know what to do about you guys. We just keep you locked up and hope that you get tired of doing what you're doing." And that was honest, and I appreciate that, but there's not really much there. The last time I was there was 1976, and I pulled out April 1st, 1977. So that means, I've been out over 34 years, and the last time I shot drugs was in 1976, 35 years ago. And I don't think there's a whole heck of a lot of former heroin addicts that can say that. A lot of them just do not ever get clean. Some do, of course, but not that many. And many die or spend their entire lives locked up. So I've been blessed that I haven't had to go back, and I've been able to stay clean. And really, that's what my book is all about, is to tell people about my journey and what I had to do and what I had to realize, and hopefully to be of some help. Now, a little bit more about when I was at CRC, they did have Alcoholics Anonymous meetings and Narcotics Anonymous meetings that came into the institutions. There are a few churches that came into Victory Outreach, which is well known in California. Well, I guess Victory Outreach is pretty worldwide known now, but it wasn't at that time. And I do spend a lot of time in my book writing about the Alcoholics Anonymous programs and the Narcotics Anonymous programs, and that's, I guess, the primary treatment model in the United States today. And I'm intimately familiar with both those programs. I was an AA secretary. I was an AA intergroup rep, and I was a Narcotics Anonymous hospital and institutions chairman for one of the regions. So I'm well versed in them. Also, let's see, when I violated my first parole, the first time I went to CRC, my first N-number parole, they sent me to another drug treatment program. I got sent to the long-term drug treatment program at Tarzana, California. That's the therapeutic community model, and all those they're sometimes known as the Synanon clone programs. And so I wrote about all these things in my book. I wrote about Alcoholics Anonymous. I wrote about Narcotics Anonymous. I wrote about the therapeutic communities, and you know, I never really found much understanding about addiction at any of those places. If you go to Alcoholics Anonymous these days, back when I first paroled out in 1977, the Narcotics Anonymous hadn't enjoyed the explosive growth that it has, and there were meetings, and even in a large place like Los Angeles, Orange County actually is where I was, they were few and far between. I lived in well, I won't tell you where I live, but I had to travel at least an hour to find a meeting, and so I found a home in Alcoholics Anonymous, and there were a lot of drug addicts at that time who migrated towards AA because the meetings were more numerous. Nowadays, Narcotics Anonymous is a lot, and I have to tell you, there was some resentment against drug addicts in Alcoholics Anonymous, and a lot of even though some of us, like myself, drank quite a bit, I drank excessively. When I couldn't find drugs, I drank. They both served the same purpose. But so I spent a lot of time in the early years. I spent a lot of time in Alcoholics Anonymous out of necessity. And in later years, I did spend some time in Narcotics Anonymous. And anyhow, all these things are talked about in my book, and I talk about them honestly. Both Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous push the idea that addiction is a disease. So even alcohol addiction is a disease, and drug addiction is a disease. And you know, it's just it's just not true. It's just patently not true, and you know, and there are a few voices here and there that talk about it, and of course all the treatment professionals go to school and they get their certified counselor degrees and whatever, and they keep promulgating these things that aren't true. Basically, addiction is a way of escaping from your conscience. You know what? When you take drugs, when you drink to excess, it resolves your guilty conscience in a wrong way. It makes you feel better, and that's about all there is to it, really. And so the solution is to basically face up to the truth, see where your life you've failed, to give up your anger, to give up your hatred, and to have the spiritual awakening that's talked about in the 12 steps, but frequently most people don't find it. What I found in Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous is that most people, not all, most, merely become addicted to the programs. They become addicted to meetings. You find people that go to meetings every day of their life, and they substitute the meetings and the comforts and the friendships that they find there for what they used to find in drugs. And many of them, their lives have not changed. They're still involved in a very sinful type of lifestyle. I guess it's okay to use the word sin. Not too popular in this day and age, but you know, that's what it is. So anyhow, I tried to, in my book, I tried to give some real answers to the problems and what I had to do and what I had to realize about myself in order to find peace of mind and happiness. And that's what I've done, and I've done it in an honest way that I really wouldn't be allowed to talk about in AA and NA. And I've been a speaker at both those groups many times, and I can tell you that and because of the constraints, you're just not allowed to be as honest and forthright as really is necessary. So I've written this book. Oops, here it is. Here's this book, Up from Down. It's available on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and all the usual places. The ebook is very cheap. If you go over to Amazon.com, it's priced at $2.99. And I really think there's some valuable information in there that could help someone who's struggling with addiction. If you have a member of your family who has a drug problem, maybe they're incarcerated or something, I mean, try getting them a copy of my book. In California prisons, you're allowed to send an inmate a book. You can't send it to them directly, but you go to Amazon.com, and if you have their mailing address and all that information, then you can order through Amazon.com, and they'll send it directly to the institutions and allow the book to be delivered. I know the Orange County Jail is like that. They'll allow a book to be delivered if it comes through from the book distributor, and maybe most of the other county jails are too. You'll have to talk with them. But anyway, I think it could be valuable, and my book is very honest and doesn't pull any punches. One of the things I do is I talk about the causes of through illustration of my drug addiction. And the cause of my drug addiction was post-traumatic stress disorder. And you can read about all that in my book, but it's not, I didn't have any mysterious disease or anything like that. And the book has been well reviewed, and I don't think that you'll regret it. Thank you for watching my video, and God bless. Now all I gotta do is figure out how to turn this camera off.